Good afternoon, Jets Nation. Welcome to the Jets Show. And somehow, the New York Jets won this football game 31-30. So without any hesitation, let's go ahead and talk about the good and the bad from today's game. Normally after we win, I talk about the bad first, but how can we talk about the bad after the New York Jets pulled off the most improbable comeback ever? We were trailing by 2 touchdowns, 13 points, with under 2 minutes left to go. And somehow the New York Jets won this football game. Huge shout outs to Corey Davis, who was wide open on a 66-yard touchdown that put the New York Jets in the position to kick the onside kick, which we recovered. Beautiful, just onside kick right there by Braden Mann. Everyone thought it was going right. It went left. Justin Hardy falls on it. The New York Jets get the ball. And then, of course, we got to give shout-outs to Joe Flacco, who had 307 passing yards and 4 touchdowns, no interceptions on the day today. Big game from Joe Flacco. Garrett Wilson had 83 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns and also caught the game-winning touchdowns today. The rookie looked phenomenal, and the offensive line also did really good today as well. Both run blocking and pass blocking. The Cleveland Browns, who everybody was super scared of this week because they had Jadeveon Clowney, who did leave the game, pretty early on with an injury, but they had Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett, who was about to break the Cleveland sack record. Only had 1 sack today. The Browns had 2 on the day, no sacks in the second half, and because of the offensive line's stud performance, that is a huge reason to why the New York Jets were in this game, giving Joe Flacco the time in the pocket to complete that comeback drive. It was just executed perfectly, the final 2 minutes of the game. Somehow, the New York Jets were able to win this game. I'm still in shock. I don't know how. I had like a 20-second prayer. Maybe that's why we won this game. But, the New York Jets somehow pulled off this improbable comeback. And, just huge shout-outs to them. The New York Jets managed the clock perfectly within 2 minutes. We had 0 timeouts, and we still managed to just trail down the field with enough time and still gave Cleveland a little time to score. But luckily, Ashton Davis came in clutch and got an interception. But, still, this was just such a crazy finish to a game. The New York Jets have ended our September losing streak. We have finally gotten a win in the month of September. And we are finally have a record that is not under 500. We are exactly at 500. This team just looked a lot better. For everyone who said the New York Jets sucked after last week's loss, you said this was another lost season, you're wrong. I made the video saying I had faith in the New York Jets because this team is not bad, and this week proved that. The rookies we had played phenomenal. I forgot to talk about Breece Hall, who had 7 carries for 50 yards and also had a touchdown right before halftime. It was a 10-yard receiving touchdown. He looked great. And Greg Zuerlein, who everybody wanted to cut after his terrible performance last week, I had my doubts in him. He looked really good today. He made all of his extra points and had a 57-yard field goal. A 57-yard field goal, that's not an easy kick to make. Greg Zuerlein barely squeaked it by, but a win in it, and he came clutch. The New York Jets might not have played perfect today, but we stepped up when it really mattered the most. Huge shout-outs to the special teams and offense in this game. They were the reason we won this game. And the bad, obviously, is just going to kind of be mostly about the defense. I don't really want to talk about the bad in this moment of separation, but I kind of have to. Before we talk about the defense's bad performance, we had a lot of penalties in today's game, 8 penalties for 57 yards. The refs definitely made a lot of questionable calls, especially towards the end of the game, and they also robbed the New York Jets of an opportunity to score on our first drive. Joe Flacco made a beautiful pass to Tyler Conklin on the run. It was a completed pass, but the refs said it wasn't. I have no idea how that wasn't a completed pass. The refs were definitely smoking something, but the defense definitely was lackluster today. We only had 1 sack, despite the Browns being without their all-pro tackle, Jack Conklin. That should have been an easy opportunity for the New York Jets to just blitz in that defensive lineman. And, we got 1 sack on the day. It was made by Carl Lawson, his first sack as a Jet. Just definitely a lackluster performance from a defensive line, a unit that was supposed to be really good this season. But Jacoby Brissett threw for 229 passing yards, a touchdown, and the defense just could rarely get Cleveland off the field. We managed to make them punt like twice, and every single time every drive it felt like they drove down and scored some points, except for, it was the exception on a couple. But the Jets defense definitely was lackluster in today's game, and, the offense was doing everything they can to helped the New York Jets win this game, and the Jets defense was giving them absolutely zero favors. I mean, Amari Cooper couldn't be stopped, 101 receiving yards and a touchdown. And of course, the Browns rushing game, which was stopped for, a majority of, the game. 3 quarters, it felt like the New York Jets were going to do another good job of stopping the run. I actually had in my notes, Jets run defense looked good once again today. Then after the fourth quarter, had to completely remove that, and they ended up having 184 to end the game whenever they were just trying to chew the clock, get the first down, when the New York Jets were just rapidly calling timeouts. Of course, Cleveland was able to just run the ball really good, and the New York Jets couldn't stop him in that aspect. The defense definitely needs to clean some things up. The New York Jets need to be more disciplined next week, but the offense looked phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Huge shout-outs to Joe Flacco. Huge shout-outs to the offensive line. Garrett Wilson looked amazing in today's game. Garrett Wilson was just so freaking good. 2 touchdowns, 83 yards. Fantastic performance. The New York Jets have ended our September losing streak, and we are now 1-1. Next week, we play the Bengals, who are currently playing the Cowboys right now. I'm your host, Drew Jets, and I will see you guys for my next video. Peace!